Welcome to the season wrap-up edition of the Demon Huddle presented by Cross Financial Group, joined as always by Northwestern State head coach Blaine McCorkle. And Coach, you made it through.
We did.
1 year, first year is down, and first year is always coming in. It's always a challenge, maybe more so than ever for you this time, but you're on the other side of it now. You talked about it several times, that college experience is going through tough times and coming out on the other end, and you and your staff have done that.
Yeah, we have. I think I'm about 1 week away from my 1 year anniversary here, so not quite 12 full months, and it's been quite a year indeed. This past week we finished up our 12-game season. Saturdays were not what we wanted them to be. That is well below standard or expectation. We know that. We recognize that, and we didn't come here to do that. We came here to win and win in a hurry. But sometimes that's easier said than done. There's a lot that goes into that. And I think that what we were able to accomplish this year is we finished a full football season, and as simple and small as that may sound, there's a lot of value in that because, this time a year ago, there were people talking about, would we even have a season? Should we continue to play football at Northwestern State? What does our future really hold? Do we drop divisions? There was all kind of just crazy off-the-wall ideas out there, and so the fact that we could go from those conversations to completing a 12-game season in a year is something to be proud of. It kind of proved to everybody that, no, we're alive and well, we're not going anywhere, we've still got a lot of work to do, but we're here, we're moving forward, and Northwestern State is committed to football and bringing football back to Natchitoches that the people here remember and that was really, really special. So that gives us a lot to look forward to. Gives us a small sense of accomplishment in that. And you do have to give our players a lot of credit for sticking this thing out and doing it. We had 8 seniors that decided to stay through all that when they didn't have to. And our team was about right at 50-50 new guys and returners, which made for a very interesting mix. So there's a lot to be proud of and build on. But we've got a lot of work to do because the next step is to get Saturday and the scoreboard right.
Well, the building starts. It's already started.
Right.
Obviously, somebody said, early signing day is next week, and this was a conversation that was going on at HCU off the field, and they said, well, so I guess recruiting starts Monday, and the guy looks and goes, no, if you start Monday, you're already so far behind, months and months behind at that point, but you do hit the ground. I know obviously you can't talk specifics, but you can talk what you're looking for, you can talk recruiting philosophy, so we'll lay it out there and let you have free reign with it.
Yeah, so you're right. Recruiting never stops. The day I took the job here right at a year ago, we recruited that day, and you're always recruiting. If you ever take a day off recruiting, somebody's going to get ahead of you. So recruiting, the first signing day, the early signing period starts the week after Thanksgiving, that Wednesday, the 4th through the 6th. There's a 3-day window where high school kids can sign. I think we're probably guaranteed right now to sign 4 minimum, maybe as many as 6 to 8. A couple guys are kind of right there on the fence. And that's probably right where we need to be. So one thing that is unique because of where we've come from over the last year is we won't have many scholarships to give. So if people look and go, boy, they didn't sign many guys, well, you have to have the scholarships available. So that's due to a lot of things. One, we had to bring in a lot of players last year. We didn't bring in any 1-year guys because that's not worth it for us where we were. With everybody getting a year back after the season got canceled a year ago, that created an environment where there weren't many seniors. So we only lost 8 seniors. Not all those were on scholarship or on full scholarship, so that limits the number you can sign. So we'll guarantee 4 plus next week. That'll put us at 6 to 8. You lose 8 seniors. We know we're going to lose a few other guys, not many, I don't think. So that really limits the number we can offer. And after we get our high school guys, we will try to bring in a couple transfers at some key spots that are the right guys, not a lot, but the right ones at the right spots. So this thing's going to fill up pretty quick, and it's going to force this class to be really small, but extremely selective. And I think our staff has done a good job identifying and targeting and going after those guys. The good thing about that is if we can finish early, that allows us to get a jump start on next year's class. So hopefully this January, we're actually already spring recruiting for the next class, and then we're on schedule and where we need to be.
And I guess jumping into the situation you're in, it's a little bit different when you have a smaller class. It needs to be impactful.
That's right.
But it also is the good thing is you get to be selective. You talk about, we'll throw a baseball analogy out there in terms of picking your pitch. You can keel. If you're ahead in the count, it's got to be one certain spot. You can live with it if it misses, but when you get your pitch, you got to knock this one out of the park.
That's right, you do. We can be very, very selective, but what it does, the hard part of it is you have that second, third, fourth guy sitting there hanging on, knowing you don't have many and you're kind of waiting on that one guy. and you gotta keep some guys warm in case you don't get that one. You gotta have the next one up and ready to go, and that's where you have to really be detailed and organized in your planning and knowing, okay, what's your next move if one guy doesn't work out, because there's no guarantee until they put ink to paper. There's no guarantee. So it's a continual process. It's a chess match for sure, because you want to balance your roster. That's one thing that we kind of inherited, as it was a roster that was a little bit off balance, offense and defense. For example, this year we had no seniors on defense. Next year we may have 20 plus seniors on defense, and that's got to be balanced out a little bit better, where your classes are balanced by position, and that just goes to different recruiting philosophies and a way of doing things. But we definitely need to balance our roster by class a little bit better, and those things really take a year or two to get right as guys graduate and you filter guys in. So yeah, it's definitely a shell game for sure.
And you're learning to do it at a different level too. I mean, you're back at the FCS level, but as a head coach at this level for the first time. You've been at the Division III level previously as a head coach, so a little bit difference there, simply with the scholarships, not scholarships, but also you've been part of this at several FCS programs, so it's nothing new for you.
Yeah, it's not as different as you might think, because even at the Division III level, you still have to balance your roster. It's not just a cattle call and you come play, you want to play. I mean, some people do that, and that's why they're not very successful. But where we did it at Belhaven previously, the only model I knew was an FCS recruiting model, and that's what we did. We tried to balance our roster by numbers and positions the same way we did everywhere, because that kind of works, and you want to make sure you maintain good balance and, who's leaving, who's coming, whatever. So, a lot of times in Division III, you'll see people bring in freshman class of, 50, 60, 70 players. Well, we kind of resided ourselves to never do that. We went and got, 25 to 30 of the right players. So it's really not that much different for us. We just kind of kept the same process. Now we just have money to offer, which is a nice thing to throw out there. So not as different as you might think. It still comes down to relationships and getting to know people and getting to know the high school coaches and your staff doing a great job on the road and building relationships and people trusting you.
Well, and it's not just players you're going to be looking at in the offseason. I know there's a chance that something else good can be coming for this program.
Yeah, you refer to our staff additions, which is great. In FCS football, you're allowed 10 full-time coaches. Every team in our conference has 10 full-time coaches except for us. We've got 7 this past year. That's something that's been that way for a long time. And, with the new President Genovez and Kevin going to work, we're now going to be able to remedy that problem. And one thing that we're going to do is not lose any coaches, but add 3 coaches to it at various positions. We're still kind of working through. We want to find the best coaches and then set our staff how we need to. But people may not realize what a big deal that is. When you're down 3 coaches to everybody, that's like being down 15 or 20 players, because now you can be that much more detailed with your game planning, with your schemes, with your practices. The player accountability can be much better. And going from 7 to 10, now we've expanded our recruiting geography by 30%. We can get 30% more coverage to cover more high schools with more detail with 3 more coaches and take the pressure off other people to allow them to do their jobs better. So that is tremendous. I mean, that's as valuable as signing 3 5-star players, because there's so much more you can do with more manpower that's quality people. So, right now we're recruiting really good players, but we're going to recruit 3 really good coaches to bring in here to help us bolster this program as well. And that is a significant sign of the commitment that the administration has to our program.
And that's obviously got to be, it's a good feeling for you, but also it's going to be fun to watch, I think, because there's a veteran coach who was always at practice around. Coach Morris, he coached several places, was here a lot of time to watch you guys practice. And I think one of the first things he said was it was the most detail-oriented, organized practice he'd ever seen. Now you get to add 3 coaches to that.
That's
so
right, yeah.
The development, the recruiting, it all just seems to be pushing upward.
It does. Well, speaking of Coach Morris, he comes to practice enough, he ought to apply for one of those jobs. I just hire him. He obviously knows the system. He's been there every day, and he's great. He's a lot of fun to talk to, and we enjoy having him out there. But yeah, it will offer a whole new level of detail and organization and game planning and thoughts and recruiting. I mean, there's nothing bad to having more numbers on your staff for sure, and it allows us to care and take care of our players at a much higher level too.
Sam Goodwin?
Another guy? Maybe, yeah. He's got an open door anytime he wants. I mean, my office has his name on it, so he can come in anytime he wants, and we're all ears when he comes in.
We've talked about the future. We've talked about where this program's going. Let's just go back for you. I mean, some of the high points you thought this first season. You mentioned Saturdays. We'll throw the records out. We'll throw the scores out. But some of the high points this year for Blaine McCorkle were what?
Well, I think you go all the way back to the Tulsa game, and you just watch the excitement of our kids having an opportunity to play again. when some of them didn't know if they would. And they went out there, and obviously, we got handled pretty good, but our kids played really, really hard for 4 quarters. They had fun. They were excited. They made some big plays. There were kind of some older gentlemen, older Northwestern State gentlemen there that I think had tears in their eyes just seeing us take the field because of everything that had happened and where it came from. So the fact that we took the field against a worthy opponent and played respectable was a very, very neat thing. And it was kind of a landmark moment for our program saying, hey, we're back. And then you go the very next week against Prairie View. I think we learned a lot of valuable lessons that game. That's a game that we could have, should have, won had things gone a little bit different. Came down to the last inch and last second of the game. We didn't get a quarterback sneak in. That pictures show we did, but they didn't give it to us. And, the bottom line is we kind of learned you can't leave anything to chance. You can't make things close. And I think those are lessons that our team needed to learn for us to build a program the right way. As much as we wanted, needed, and sure wish we won that game, I think had we won that game, there were probably some lessons that we didn't learn. We would not have had the opportunity to learn because we're not mature enough yet to learn those lessons, and you never want to sacrifice a win. I'm definitely not saying that. I'd sure rather win and learn the lessons. But we learned a lot that game about how hard you have to play and how long you have to play hard to win a game. Also, how hard and how long you have to prepare to win a game. And I think that's a lesson that hopefully we learn from. We've taken the snapshot of that goal line play where JT got in but didn't get in, and it's kind of plastered all over our program right now to remind people that we can't leave anything to chance if we're going to move this thing forward. Because, had we come out on the other side of that, you don't know what that does to the psyche as well on the other end. Moving forward, does that propel you against some of the lesser teams that we played and maybe kept some games closer and change some things? So I think that those first 2 were as valuable as anything that happened all year to set things up for the future.
Also reiterate, I think Matt Connor always says it, 99.9.
That's right.
You got to defend or you got to play from the goal line to the goal line, right, whether it's a 1/10 of a yard or an inch.
Yeah, in all 3 phases. In all 3 phases, you really do. And you never know what game's going to come down to the last play, the last second, the last inch, as that one did. So we learned a lot. Learned how far we have to go, but we learned also, maybe how close we are in some areas too.
I know one thing you've said without looking too far ahead, because coaches don't want it. They want to focus on Saturday. They want to focus on Saturday until it's over. Your focus shifts to recruiting and then beyond.
That's right. Yeah, obviously the recruiting piece we mentioned. The other big piece that we're looking forward to now is the off season. With the majority of our team coming back, which is awesome. Which definitely wasn't the case last year. It's no secret that when you watch us play on Saturday, we look a little bit different than the people we play. We're much smaller. We're not as strong. We're not as physically developed, and a lot of that comes from all the guys that returned on our team basically had a 3-month hiatus, which you can never do as a Division I athlete, where they were kind of in limbo with the program, and then all of our young guys have never played college football before. So we're smaller, slower, and weaker than everybody we play. And that's something that we've got to address in a hurry, and I think we've got a good plan. That's something that for several weeks now, Coach Smelser and I have been talking, planning, and looking forward to. And I'm really, really excited to see him start to change some bodies and see some guys grow and develop. There's nobody on our program other than about 2 or 3 guys right now that need to lose weight. We need some guys to pack on some pounds. Size equals strength and get stronger. When you get stronger, you get faster. So there's a lot there that we've got to get done before spring practice. And I'm really, really excited to watch our guys' bodies change.
Well, hopefully there won't be as much change as from 2023 to 2024 because you're here, stability, and we can talk about that too. You're going to add the 3 coaches that you mentioned, but holding the 7 that you have, incredibly important for not just this staff, but for any staff.
Sure it is, yeah, and you can never guarantee or predict coaching changes because all these young coaches on our staff, they have dreams and aspirations and goals, and our staff is really, really talented, and they offer a lot to a lot of people. But I think, too, I feel pretty confident right now. You can't predict anything. That right now I think they're all locked in, want to be here. I think they see and appreciate the vision, know it's going to take time, and I'd hate to lose any of them right now. I think we've got a really, really good staff who's in it for the right reasons and continuing to grow together as well, just as our team does. So hopefully we can keep them all here and add to them, and that offers a lot as well.
And I know one thing, you're a bit of a numbers guy in some respects. You said it Saturday night in Houston, 280 days at that point until you play Alcorn.
278 now.
There you go.
right.
And when this airs, maybe 276,
276,
275.
that's right.
So
That's right.
this is Monday, November 25th. So you can do the math from there.
It'll be here fast, and we got work to do.
Season opener against Alcorn here in Turpin. Early next season, I believe it's maybe an August start.
Yep.
Check your calendars.
Yep,
We'll
August
have
30th.
Have the full, there you go, August 30th. Have the full schedule for you on nsudemons.com as usual as we get closer to finalizing that, Coach. Anything else before we get out of here for this year, aside to say thank you to Dustin Cross and the Cross Financial Group?
Yeah, I think the other thing is just to remember, keep people on their calendars, is the Delaney Bowl spring game will be April 26th. So we'll go through our off-season, have spring practice, but last year we had a great turnout for our spring game, the Delaney Bowl, and hopefully we'll again. But April 26th, that's that last Saturday in April. You can come check out what the 2025 version is going to look like. And do thank you, Jason, for putting this show together, and James up in the booth there, and Dustin and his crew for supporting this thing financially. And it's been a great way for us to sell our program to the people out there, and I think we've got a lot of good feedback. People enjoy it, and we'll look forward to doing it again next year and telling people what's going on with Northwestern State football.
Well, Coach, as always, thank you for 12 weeks of sitting here and taking some grilling, and not the kind of grilling Patrick Netherton likes, but the grilling we'll give to you.
That's right. He still owes me, by the way. He's still supposed to feed me at some point, so I'm still waiting.
There will be plenty of barbecue in your future, some off-season barbecue. Get together with him. But Coach, always thank you for your time. Thanks to James Stanfield, Davey Antilli for filling in. This has been the Demon Huddle presented by Cross Financial Group on YouTube.